Hi everyone, welcome to our next instalment in our Franklin Vets video series. I'm Leah, and this one we're going to be talking about sort of pre-mating consults and just preparing for our upcoming mating season. So we tend to run these in clinic. They can be done on farm. Who's involved? So your primary vet will be the one facilitating. In terms of farm staff, that can be workers, managers or owners, everyone's welcome to come along. I often say the more people the better, because it gives everyone sort of a big picture in terms of where we're heading for the mating season, what jobs need to be done and who's going to be doing them. The reason we run these is number one, to set goals for the coming season. So we'll review ones from last year, make plans for improvements for the following season, plan any animal health interventions that are coming up, such as metri checking, and then work out a timeline for all these to occur. This is the first section of our plan to make consult, which we've developed in conjunction with AgriHealth. So number one, we look at herd performance. So this is all our stuff from the previous year, and these numbers will all come off your fertility focus report. So what we'll do is we'll put your farm's numbers in that empty box, compare them to targets, and then what we'll do is we'll get you to rate how you feel about those. So the fact that, for example, your 6-week in calf rate, you might be sitting at sort of 75, and that might be happy for you. So whereas someone else might say that's orange, we're not quite at target, for you, you might be sitting happily in the green. These are the parts where we do most of our planning. So these are our key animal health interventions for the coming season. It's important to plan these because a lot of them are time-based, such as your BVD vaccination, making sure that everyone is protected leading into mating, or your heifer synchrony, whether that needs to be before the herd or whether you want to start at the same time. And then your more technical ones, such as your wire weights, definitely need to be time-based, and your tail pain and heat detection needs to be done in time to be sure that these are going to work out for you. So this is an example of one of the planners that we can generate for you based on these numbers. This one is a generic one, so all we do is plan starter calving, plan starter mating, and everything else self-populates. This can be edited for your farm to add in things like when you want to do your non-cyclers, kind of align those with when you need your vet visits for metri checking and that sort of thing to reduce the number of vet visits and that way reduce your mileage costs. So a lot of the chat around these sorts of things is around cost. So the consults themselves are free, and then in terms of the improvements that we're going to make, a lot of people want to know, what's the money basis? Am I going to get return on my investment? Condition scoring is a good one where people have gone through and looked at the numbers. So this is an example table from just the Dairy NZ Facts and Figures book. So for every cow that improves, for example, from a 3.5 to a 4.5, you're going to get more days in milk for that cow. More production for that cow, and also an increase in her reproductive performance, whether that's getting in calf early or getting calf early essentially. So for that cow, you're looking at $109 across the season. So if you put that into a herd sort of setting, 20% of a 300 cow herd improving gives you an extra $6.5 in the bank. Non-cycler treatment has also been looked at pretty extensively. So the earlier you treat your cows, the more value you're going to get for money. Starting them 9 days pre-mating, which is sort of the time frame we tend to recommend, that ensures that your non-cyclers are going to get their fixed time AI after the start of mating, so on day 1 or 2. That gives you an extra 33 kilograms of milk solids per cow, and that includes the averaging across everyone who may not get in calf to that first cycle. Starting 3 weeks into mating, which is what quite a few people do, you're looking at more along the lines of 4 kilos of milk solids per cow. So obviously a lot less return on investment and potentially not even breaking even with the more intensive programs. So improving your 6-week in calf rate and your empty rate also has some pretty good dollar values attached to it. So for a 300 cow herd, every 1% improvement in your 6-week in calf rate gives you an extra $1,200 to play with, and every 1% decrease in empty rate gives you an extra $3,000. These numbers come from the profit generated from having more AB heifer calves, having fewer empties in the herd, having more days in milk with your higher 6-week in calf rate. It also allows more voluntary culling, and an increase in 6-week in calf rate, when it gets significant, will reduce the number of bulls that you need to have in the herd if you're still doing your AB and then switching to bulls later on. If you want to calculate the numbers for your herd, you can visit LIC. They have a good sort of basic dollar value calculator for your herd, or chat to your vet and we can go through the in-calf gap calculator with you. This one's a bit more intense than the LIC version. It looks at numbers across your whole herd and also allows us to work out where you're going to be able to make the biggest improvements and so get the more value for money. Thanks to AgriHealth for helping us to develop this plan to mate tool. It's set up nice and easy and it only takes us about half an hour to run through. So it's well worth sitting down with your vet, making a time and getting a plan sorted for mating coming up in October.